Hey guys, Tobin here from SnapToCover.com. I wanted to bring you a quick preview / review of Mercs Recon. So let's dive into it. Alright, so if I had to pick one game in the entire world of games that Mercs Recon is like, it would not be Myth. What it would be, on the other hand, is Zombicide by Cool Mini or Not. It's a very, very, very claustrophobic, cooperative game. I love co-op games. Co-op games are the one type of game that I can really get my wife into playing, and I think this is going to be the next game that becomes a staple in our house. It's very much you working with other people and trying to get past problems, and the fact that you never know what's around the next corner as you try to complete your objective makes the game a lot of fun. Alright, so Mercs Recon is definitely one of those easy to pick up, hard to learn games. The whole premise of the game is that you're a small 5-man squad of mercs, just like you'd see on the tabletop game, but you're trying to go through a building to find this main objective. Each mission's going to have different objectives in the main game. When we played it at Gen Con, there was a green token. There were 4 of them on the board. One of them was the one you were actually looking for, so there's some randomness there. Once you found that, that would tell you where the primary objective is, which we were using as a red token. Once you got that, you win the game. But it's not as easy as it sounds. There's blue, orange, and purple discs on the board. And at the start of each round you flip a card, and that tells you what direction they move and how far they move. If they move into line of sight of you, you flip another card, and that basically will determine what that blip turns into. So you never know. It could be an office worker heading home to see his wife and kids on a Friday afternoon at 5, or it could be 4 mercs. You never know. And how you interact with those people, you don't know. You might say, oh, I would never hurt an office worker trying to go home on a Friday at 5 to see his wife and kids. But you'll see that a lot of people end up doing it. The office workers will usually try to flee with you unless there's too many of you in line of sight of them. In that case, they'll cower up and try to make sure that you don't hurt them. At that point you can actually capture them and interrogate them to figure out where the next objective is. So if there's 4 of those green objectives and you're trying to find one, you can find someone that's a manager in the office and capture them, interrogate them, and then ask them what's in the server room, and they'll tell you. If then you can flip and find out what is in the server room. Is that the place you want to go, or is it not? So you can start Xing off some of the rooms that way. As far as people shooting at you, when you get security forces in the building that are trying to push back against you, they're going to shoot based off of your priority. So the more that you do in the game on your turn, the more priority you're going to get, and the more likely that the security forces, when they show up, are actually going to shoot you. So it's definitely a balancing act. You don't want to be Mr. Hero and do everything every single turn for everybody, because security forces are just going to rain on you. They're going to move towards you. They're going to be shooting at you. You don't want that, trust me. We played a game like that, and it is the last thing that you want. There's also a security level meter which goes from 0 to 10. So there's all these little increments, and then there's security levels on that track. So it starts off at 0, quickly moves to 1, then it moves to 2, 3, 4, and then after you get to the max level, there's a countdown of 10. And if you ever get to that 10th spot on that track, the game's over. They call on the tanks, they call on the helicopters, and you are done. There is no escaping it at that point. So the whole point is to get to these objectives and try to clear the room. It's got really fast mechanics. Everything's based on 50-50 die. There's a couple different kinds that add a couple different options, but the game is very, very fast, very smooth, very dynamic, a whole lot of fun to play. So when we were at Gen Con, we had a vinyl mat. The actual game is going to have a frame and then 6" by 6" tiles that you can arrange any way that you want inside the building. The only difference is that each building or the thing that has to be the same is there has to be 2 stairwells. Doesn't matter where you place them. It has to have some offices and it has to have 2 elevator entrances. If it has that, then you can place the other tiles in any configuration you want, and each set of Mercs or Recon is going to have a completely different set of tiles. So as far as replayability from that perspective, tons and tons of different outcomes that you can have there. We played on a one vinyl mat with the same map every single demo that I ran, and it was different every single time. Where the blips start, how they move, what actions you take, where the objectives are, that all drives it. So each time you play, it's completely differently. So one question that came up was, is Mercs Recon too easy? Everyone thinks that it's, you go into the office building, you do the same thing every single time, and you'll win every single time. I can say that it depends. Like I said, the game has a lot of things that aren't under your control. The guys can move in different directions that you're not expecting. They can turn into security forces when you're not expecting. You might be expecting to find a worker around the corner. It turns out to be a squad level security force 1. You kill all those guys, the security level increases, and then you start getting attacked by security force level 2, 3, and then Mercs. We had 4 games over the course of Gen Con. The first one I actually got to play a part of. We were playing a CCC, moving through the building, and the group decided that, you know what, we like the shooting mechanic, and we are going to kill every single thing that moves. There was holes in the floor by the end of it. There was certain areas that you couldn't even move through or were extremely difficult to move through. Office workers were dying. We were running out of spots on the casualty track to put guys. Security level was going up, because we kept popping in front of blips, so the blips kept turning into things. So that kept moving up the security track over and over and over again. And in the end, the security meter ended up going all the way to the very end. They called in the tanks, the helicopters, the jets, and we were done. The second game was CCC as well. They moved through, were a little bit more stealthy, did a lot more capturing than killing, and that proved to be the difference. They were able to find the objective, they were able to secure it, and ended up winning the game. The third game, on the other hand, they were playing as Chemvar. They played pretty aggressive. They were doing a lot of capturing. The big thing that they did wrong was they actually split the party. They had their assassin run out to try and capture some workers while they went and did the breach and clear. And by the time they were done the breach and clear, Security Force 3 were coming in from one side of the hallway, and 2 squads of Mercs were coming in from the other. The assassin almost died. He was beelining it all the way down the hallway and then jumped in the bathroom, and he stood there for the rest of the game. That was a very, very intense game. They didn't win or lose that one. They actually ran out of time at Gen Con. I think they might have been able to edge it out at the end if they had stuck through. If Gen Con was open a little bit longer, but can't really say for sure. But they were definitely in up over their head. It would have been a good fight to see them to win that one. But I think they had what it took to do it. The final game, which is what you're seeing in this video. And unfortunately, we don't have the full video footage. I got to apologize. I'm not going to be able to show you the end of this game. Too many people were bumping into the camera at Gen Con. Just too many people in general. But they ended up winning it. They did an excellent job. And luck played on their side a little bit. They only ended up discovering 4 people. They had a technician, an administrator, and 2 workers. They ended up having the technician tell them what was in one of the buildings. It ended up not being the objective. They were going to breach and clear it, but once that guy told them that it wasn't what they were looking for, they were like, okay, let's find something else. The next objective that they went to, they interrogated an administrator before, who was able to tell them what was in any room of the place. They asked what was in the room to the right. The administrator said, you know what, that actually is the objective you want. They busted down the door, the assassin ran in, was killing guys, the shock trooper was moving guys around in the room, and they ended up clearing that, within a couple rounds. Everyone went around once, and they had, decimated the entire room. No one really took any damage, and then they moved down to the second objective. The one thing that was playing on their side, though, is all the blips tended to move to the opposite end of the building and stay in the opposite end of the building. It's just the way the cards flipped. It could very easily have had an entire group of guys come towards them, and they would have been in a ton of trouble. But luck was on their side. They stuck to one corner of the room. They went to the other corner, grabbed the objective, and were able to complete the game. Even in that one, the assassin came in, killed the guy in the red circle. The shock trooper was able to move someone out of the square, and they just decimated the room. I think it was actually really, really close in that game, though. They had the heavy in that room, and they ended up doing 9 out of 10 collateral damage. When you're in a breach and clear, if you do 10 collateral damage, the objective is considered destroyed. So they almost lost even in that game, but they ended up pulling through and did what they had to do to win. So I thought that game was going to be a little lackluster, that people weren't actually going to enjoy it, because there wasn't a whole lot of killing security forces and moving through the building and all that. It was very straightforward. We go here, we get this, we move here, we get this, and the game's over. But everyone seemed to have a whole lot of fun. So as far as it being too easy, I guess it depends. It really depends on the situation and how things pan out for your squad. Alright, so I want to thank everyone for watching this video. I want to thank MegaCon Games for having me out to Gen Con. I had a blast out there running all the demos over the course of the 4 days. Thanks to everyone who stopped by and got a demo, who played a game, who played some Recon. I had a blast. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up on the page. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. And if you want more info, including exclusive artwork for Mercs never before seen, visit SnapToCover.com. That's the number 2. Till next time, always snap to cover.